Hello and welcome to another edition of Simply Saturday, where I get to show you a card that is fast and easy to make. My name's Julie and this is Stamp with Julie Baum. I am an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up! And I'm here today to show you a fun, pretty, bright, quick and easy card. So I want to tell you a few things to gather in the beginning. One thing you're going to want to get is an embossing folder. Go ahead and make that decision before you start your project. And you are going to want one that is not quite as subtle as some. So you want one with some good texture. I will show you a card that I made with the 3D macrame, which is not current, but was available not too long ago. So you may have this in your supplies. And then I'm also going to use the embossing folder called Gingham, and this one is currently available. So you'll want to pick an embossing folder, and then you'll also want to pick your sentiment or your word that you're going to use on the front, because we're going to need to have some layered circles. I've chosen my dies so that this one will fit around the word. And then I've got a second one that is going to be just a little bit larger, and then a third. So my smallest and my largest, this one is scalloped. These are from layering circles. The medium-sized one that I'm using is actually from Stitched Shapes that has retired. That is just one of those ones that you're so sad to see go away. But it was also so popular that many of you crafters may have bought that and you still have it. So that is from Stitched Shapes. All right, so you want to kind of pull those things together. And then, of course, your papers. So I'll show you what I'm using. A lot of times what makes for a fast and easy card is using designer series paper. But today we are not using DSP. We are going to make our own patterned paper. So you're going to start with a base for your card. I am using Starry Sky, and this is 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4 and folded, a very typical card base size. Then you're going to need a layer that's going to go on top of that one. This one I'm using Parakeet Party. This is 4 1/4 by 4 by 5 1/4. My note is right, my words are not right. 4 by 5 1/4. Then you're going to need another piece of your base colored cardstock, so that should match. This piece is 2 inches by 5.5. And then you'll have a piece of basic white cardstock that is 1 3/4 by 5 1/4. All right, besides that, you will need a scrap of white to stamp your word on. So that's what we're going to do first. I'm actually using the words that say thank you, and this is from Cup of Tea, but I will be using the Pansy Patch stamp set today, but I needed just this size, so I borrowed this from Cup of Tea. So I'm stamping that in Starry Sky onto my scrap. And that is the piece that is going to get die cut with your smallest circle. All right, so after you've run that through your die cutting machine, you have this. Then with those other 2 circle dies that I mentioned, I've cut one out of Parakeet Party. That's my medium size, and one out of Starry Sky. That's my larger scallop. So you can do your die cutting ahead of time and have your pieces ready. Then I took my layer, this one, and chose the embossing folder. And for this one, I chose Gingham. So this is going to go into your embossing folder like so. You want to run it through your Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, always with the hinged end going in first. And once that comes out, you have this piece. I just love the look of that. I think it's interesting because I'm not sure that it's gingham to me, that's the name of it, but I like the pattern. So regardless of that, to me it's more of a plaid look, but I really like the look of this. Okay, so here we go. This piece that we've just run through our Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine is going to get attached to the card base right on the front like so. And you can use your liquid glue or your Stampin' Seal or tear and tape, whichever you prefer. When it is a little bit chunky in texture like this, I tend to reach for either my tear and tape or my Stampin' Seal, just because, in fact, oh, I don't have one here. Stampin' Seal Plus would be a good choice too, just because of all that bumpy texture. You want to make sure that you get a good seal from one layer of paper to the other. So if you just have your liquid glue, that will be fine as well. Just make sure that you put a good amount down so that a lot of that textured surface will be able to stick to the card base front. All right, so I'm going to put that on, eyeballing my edges. So I have pretty equal borders. That was not equal. That needed to come up a little bit. All right, there we go. And I'm going to flip that over and give it a good press, especially on the edges, all four, where I put my adhesive. Okay, then this piece is going to go across the front like this. It is the same length as the card, so it does go end to end. And I'm placing it, oh, maybe a little bit more than ½ an inch away from that edge of my embossed paper. Stampin' Seal seems to be my choice today. Again, working with that textured paper, I do want a good, strong adhesion. All right, so a little bit more than ½ an inch. It's going to go flush with the bottom edge of my card. And with the top edge of my card. Okay, so this piece we can set aside. Now let's put our little circles together. So I have my smallest white circle with my words. That's going to go on the medium circle and onto the larger circle. Give that a good press. All right, now let's do the rest of our stamping. All we did was our words so far. We're going to take that white piece, and I am going to be stamping off the edges, so I'm just going to pull in a piece of scrap paper that I can tuck in and around behind there. All right, as I mentioned, I'm going to use Pansy Patch, and I'm starting with one of the medium-sized pansies and Daffodil Delight, and I'm going to repeat stamp this different places on my paper, turning the stamp so it has different directions and just kind of spacing it out. Like so. This is a two-step stamping set, which means that our image, in this case pansies, are going to be built by stamping one image right on top of another image. Two-step. This particular stamp set actually has several stamps that you could actually build the flower up more with a third and a fourth stamp. Okay, now before I do the second step on top of those, I'm going to switch to Orchid Oasis and do a few of these. So I'll place one here. And here. And I think, all right, this one will be completely upside down. I want all angles. So we'll go like that. Okay. Now I'll come in with this stamp, which has more of the detail on it. And I'm using Starry Sky, which is that deep, dark purple. And I'm going to stamp on top of these pansies to give them some detail. So I'm aiming for right on top of the stamp that's already there. The sky was upside down. Let's turn him. Which direction did I do? I think it was like this. Well, it's actually quite forgiving. So even if it's not exactly what you thought, it will look fine. This one looks like it's the same direction as that one. How did I do that when I was turning and spinning? The two colors of those purples are very pretty together. The yellow ones are too. We don't want to ignore those. But I wasn't sure that the Orchid, Oasis, and the Starry Sky would be different enough, and they really are. Another thing that you could do if you had wanted is to take the Orchid Oasis, stamp it off once, then use it, and you would have had a lighter pale purple. So that would be pretty too. All right, we've got all of our flowers in place. Now I'm going to do some green leaves. On this card, I'm using Parakeet Party for the darker of two greens, and I'm using soft seafoam for the lighter. On a different card that I'll show you at the end, I used Parakeet Party as the light color and Shaded Spruce as the dark color. So it's really whatever mood you're in. The only thing that I did not like on this particular look was the Parakeet Party stamped off and then stamped darker. For some reason, the Parakeet Party, when I stamped it off, was really, really light, like barely there. So because that happened, I switched up to soft seafoam. Now these leaves are going to go on, and they don't really need to be associated with any particular flower. But you're mostly just filling in some of your white space. So again, just turn, change directions, fill them in wherever they seem to fit by size. All right, let's put one more over here. Now, initially, I think that this does not look the greatest because of this soft green. The other colors are so bright, but watch what happens once we put the Parakeet Party on. All right, so this now is more of the detail stamp. It looks like that. All right, so let's do this little tiny edge and this edge, because then I can move my scrap paper once I'm done with the edges. Okay, I've just got 3 now in the middle, so I can line these up easily. So as I said, Granny Apple Green would have been a good candidate for a bright green on this, but I do think that I'm liking, see how that Parakeet Party makes it pop now? That was a lot of peas. Look at the pop from the Parakeet Party. Okay, so there is our little piece that we've hand stamped to make it appear like designer paper. This piece is going to get attached to our strip of Starry Sky. And we can get this finished up. Now also a little hint is at this point you can determine which direction this paper is going to go, because this is going to come in and finish it. So if you have an area that is maybe not your favorite, then you want to align that over here where it's going to get covered anyway. So I feel like this part is a little empty, so I'm going to switch it around and add it in this direction. This will end up with equal Starry Sky borders all the way around that white piece. And then the last thing is attaching our little sentiment. So I'm going to use some tear and tape on the back of this, mostly because it's thick and I'm putting it onto a piece that has a lot of texture. So I really do want it to stick well. All right, so I'm just going to go across the middle and maybe 2 more small pieces. That'll hold it nicely. If you wanted to, you could put this on with dimensionals, but it looks just fine even if it's flat. And like I said, it's already kind of thick because it's 3 layers of your cardstock. All right, and you can position this in the middle, or I'm going to go just slightly lower. Like so. Now, I did not grab a piece, but I will tell you that because this is so dark of a color, I would put a white piece on the inside here. Let me see if I can reach for one. I don't have one pre-cut, so let me take a moment and grab that. In this case, my white piece will be 4 inches by 5 1/4. This will fit nicely on the inside of the card, which, as I said, is so dark it would be hard to write your message on here. So this is going to go on the inside, and only because I know myself, I'm going to want a stamp on the inside. I don't want it to be blank. So I'll take my yellow and my Starry Sky and just put 1 pansy on the inside. Do you think it needs a leaf? I do too. All right, I'm glad I left all my colors out. That made it really fast to just finish the inside of my card. All right, let's put some adhesive on that and add it to the inside. And our quick and easy card for today will be done. I'm going to show you the second design where I chose a Daffodil Delight panel instead of the Parakeet Party panel. All right, cute. There you have it. All right, here's the other one that I mentioned that has the yellow. And then we will add our little embellishments to finish this one off. Here's the yellow one, also very cute. So again, the only difference is where there's green here, there's yellow here, and I used a different embossing folder for that one. These are the other colors of green as well. So to finish this off, I'm going to grab my Glossy Dots assortment and just put a couple of purple dots. Let's see, I'll put a small one over here. And a medium one. I think I'll throw in a large one. There are yellow ones. The yellow ones would look pretty too. Let's do that. Let's put in a yellow one. There aren't green in this assortment, which would have been an easy choice had there been some green. But the purple, that one little yellow, I think picks up the yellow from those and looks really good. And then I'll add one more purple down here at the bottom. There we go. And there is our Simply Saturday card for today. I do want to mention that I am still offering a special if you place an order for products through my online store and your subtotal is $50 or more, I am giving a gift of the Rustic Metallic Dots away for free. So that I notice your order and realize that you watched one of my YouTube videos to get this special, please use the host code at checkout. There's a box where you type in this host code, and then I will be sure and get your dots to you as a gift. Also, if there are any settings that you need to check a box so that I can have your information, make sure that you check that. Otherwise, I may not be able to see your address. And I want to be able to send those to you for free. In the meantime, happy stamping, and I will see you next time. Thank you for watching, and if you did enjoy this video, I ask that you might subscribe and also click the bell so that you get notifications so you won't ever miss anything that I put up on my channel. Thanks, and see you.